We've talked about the basics of an ITIN, what it's used for, and why someone would apply for one. We've learned how to fill out the Form W-7, which is an application for an ITIN. So now we're just going to talk a little bit about the Community Tax Center processes to try to pull all of this together for you. What you see here in front of you, the ITIN Guide for Tax Volunteers, is a resource that we have available for our volunteers that actually goes through step by step how to fill out the application. It has some details on tax filing status, and just generally, if you want more detailed information, this guide is for you. We have the guide available in all of our tax sites in a hard copy. We don't actually print it out for all the volunteers because not everyone does prepare W-7s, but if you want your very own copy, then you can go to the resource tab in the training and print yourself a copy. I just wanted you to be aware that this is a resource that's available for you. So the process for an applicant filing for an ITIN is that the client is going to go to any of our any of our 5 tax sites in order to get their tax return prepared and the forms W-7 filled out. They don't have to come to the Community Financial Center to have this done. They can go to any of our tax sites. I mention that because it's not uncommon for me to have clients come in on the day when I'm processing forms W-7 with nothing prepared. And so then they end up having to wait a super long time to get an available volunteer to actually prepare the documents for them before I'm able to proceed in the process with them. So an applicant goes to any of our tax sites where you as the volunteer is going to, you're going to prepare their tax return and the forms W-7. And then after all the documents are prepared, you're going to print 2 copies of the tax return package. Remember that these have to be paper returns. They cannot be e-filed. So make sure that paper is checked on the main information sheet and that you will print out the package. As far as the Social Security number that we enter when preparing a tax return, if the applicant is either the primary or spouse on the tax return, you do not have to enter any number. You will just leave the Social Security number field blank wherever it shows up in TaxWise. That obviously is going to be red on your screen, but again, because these are paper returns, you don't need to be concerned with that. So if your applicant is the primary or the spouse on the tax return, do not enter any number for them. If the applicant is a dependent, on the other hand, you're going to use all 9s in the space for the Social Security number. In other words, you're going to enter 999 999999. And again, this is only for dependents. When you print out the 2 copies of the tax return package, make sure you scratch through that dummy number, that's what we call the fake social or the all 9 number, on every copy of the return, just so the client doesn't get confused in the future. And then also please remember that the tax return and the Form W-7s will not be mailed to the IRS. The client is going to either take their package of tax return, W-7, and identifying documents to the IRS walk-in office out on Runberg, or they're going to come to the Community Financial Center to meet with an acceptance agent there. And this is another resource that is available for you. Here is a, let me see if I can get this up here so you can see it a little better. This is a flyer that every ITIN applicant receives at intake when they come in. It's a step-by-step process for them, and you'll see down here at the bottom we have the schedule for when acceptance agent services are available. And there's a map both to the financial center and to the IRS out on Runberg. Now this flyer that you see on your screen right now is from last year. I haven't updated it yet for this current year, so these dates are not accurate for the filing season in 2015. But trust me, it will be updated by that time. So it is important that the client understand that they not mail in their tax return. They're actually going to take their package to either one of these two sites. The Community Tax Center we are a certifying acceptance agent, which means that pursuant to a written agreement, we're authorized to review clients' identifying documents and verify their authenticity. It's an advantage to our clients because we can make sure that they have all the appropriate documents, and that saves them time and money in the long run. And we also like to think that we're a little bit more welcoming than perhaps the IRS office is. We know for a fact that our clients, these ITIN applicant clients, feel more comfortable in dealing with us than with a federal agency. But then I suspect that's the case with all of us, if you know what I mean. This is another of the resources that we have available for ITIN applicants. This is a trifold brochure that's handed to every ITIN applicant at intake. It has more detailed information than the flyer about the three-step process to applying for an ITIN. It goes into some more detail. The real value and what I want to point out to you here is that in this middle column are the 13 documents that the IRS accepts as identifying documents for purposes of applying for an ITIN. I want to point this out because you're not expected to memorize this list or necessarily even be familiar with the list, but it is important that you be able to point it out to your client and show them that it is here and that they will need these documents for every applicant on the tax return. If they have a passport, they're only required to provide that one document. If they don't have a passport, they're required to provide two documents. They have to be unexpired and they must be the original. So if you're able to convey at minimum that information, that they must provide two identifying documents. If they don't have a passport, they can't be expired and they must be original. That will go a long way in helping our applicants reach their goal of obtaining an ITIN. All right, so I just want to recap briefly here the process. The client comes in to any of our tax sites. You, as the volunteer preparer, will prepare their tax return and however many W-7s that are required for that tax return. They're handed the sheet that tells them where they need to take their package of documents, which is the tax return, the Forms W-7, and identifying documents for every applicant on the tax return. Then they will show up at either at the IRS or at the Community Financial Center to complete that processing. Finally, in the resources section is contact information. If any of you have questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope this was helpful. And now you're ready for your quiz. Good luck.